Welcome back to Generative AI 101, the podcast where we take the enigma that is artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence and break it down into digestible, delightful chunks. Yum. I'm Emily Laird, your tour guide through the thrilling theme park of AI. Today we're venturing into the wild and wonderful world of unsupervised learning. Think of it as the rebellious teenager of machine learning. So this continues our segment on machine learning and everything that goes into that same bucket or category. So you're going to want to think of unsupervised learning as that rebellious teenager of machine learning. Doesn't follow the rules, it discovers them. Let's get into it. Welcome to Generative AI 101. All right, unsupervised learning. What's the deal? Picture this. You're at a massive party. A real rager, where you don't know anyone. Your goal? To figure out who's who. Who's likely to hook up with whom? Or who's going to steal the last slice of pizza? You have no name tags, no introductions, just pure observation. That's unsupervised learning in a nutshell. No labeled data, no guidance, just the algorithm and a sea of data, trying to make sense of it all. So let's look at some of the key points about unsupervised learning. So that first thing, that no labeled data, right? So unlike supervised learning, where the algorithm gets labeled examples to learn from, right? We talked about that in the last episode, the teacher in the classroom, the students with the flashcards. Unsupervised learning is like being thrown into the deep end without a life jacket. Doesn't have labeled training data to rely on. The next key point is finding patterns, right? So the algorithm's job is to then sift through the data to find hidden patterns, groups, or relationships. It's like a detective piecing together clues without a clear picture of what the crime scene looks like. Or you at that rager party trying to figure out who the cool kids are, who the kids you want to hang out with are, right? Who's your clique? The next key aspect is application. So unsupervised learning is your go-to for exploratory data analysis, clustering, dimensionality reduction, and anomaly detection. It's like the Swiss Army knife of data analysis, handy in countless situations. So how the heck does unsupervised learning work? All right, so the process of unsupervised learning is straightforward, but it's still pretty magical, okay? So there's unlabeled data sets. The algorithm starts with an unlabeled data set. It's like this blank canvas waiting for a masterpiece. Then you've got pattern recognition. The algorithm dives into the data, identifies similarities, differences, and patterns. It's like playing a game of Where's Waldo, but on a grand scale, right? Super Where's Waldo. Then we have grouping and clustering. So based on these patterns, the algorithm groups or clusters the data points into different categories. Imagine sorting your laundry into piles without knowing which clothes belong to whom. Eventually, you spot patterns like all socks go together, all shirts into another pile. If you have a family like I do, imagine if everyone just washed their clothes together and you dump the clothes that are all washed now out on a bed and you're trying to sort them. Okay. This little shirt goes here, this big sock goes over here, and eventually you figure out what's mine, what's my husband's, and what's my daughter's clothes. Okay? Like that. There's an assortment of types of unsupervised learning algorithms. So let's break down some of the popular kids in the unsupervised learning cafeteria. Okay? So there's clustering. So algorithms like k-means, hierarchical clustering, and dbScan are the kings of grouping similar data points. It's like organizing your closet, shirts with shirts, shoes with shoes, and that mysterious pile of stuff you never wear. And we all have that. That thrift pile, it either lives in your trunk or it lives in your closet, okay? One or the other. Then we have something called dimensionality reduction. So techniques like principal component analysis or PCA help reduce the number of features while preserving important information. So think of it as packing a suitcase efficiently. You keep what's necessary and leave behind the fluff. Another algorithm is association rule learning. So these algorithms find interesting relationships or associations between variables. It's like playing matchmaker at a party, figuring out who's likely to hit it off based on their interests. Unsupervised learning has an assortment of applications. So it's not just a geeky party trick. It has real-world applications that are honestly pretty darn cool. Some of these include customer segmentation and targeted marketing. So I work in a space that includes marketing communications, and utilizing this to figure out your target audience or target market. It's like figuring out which party guests love jazz and which are diehard rock fans, then catering to their taste. That's incredibly valuable. If you look at a lot of the modern data that's coming out from reports, marketing is one of the key spaces that's utilizing generative AI exactly for things like this, or AI in general, exactly for things like this. Another space where unsupervised learning is really doing a lot of work is anomaly and fraud detection. So spotting the odd one out, like catching the guy at the party who's trying to swipe all the silverware. But this could be used in spaces like credit card fraud, right? So recognizing that there's a pattern in your expenditure that just doesn't seem to make sense. Oh, you're telling me you didn't buy that gym equipment in New Jersey when you live in the middle of the Midwest? Yeah, that kind of a thing. Then there's recommendation systems and content clustering. So grouping similar content together, like creating playlists of songs that vibe well together, or clustering news articles by topics. Finally, there's exploratory data analysis and data processing, because we're doing a ton with data. It's like an individual reconnaissance mission, right? Giving you insights into your data before you even have the chance to dive deeper. In summary, unsupervised learning is a powerhouse for uncovering hidden insights and patterns in data without relying on labeled examples. It's like having a super smart friend who can make sense of the chaos at a party and tell you who's who, all without needing introductions. That's all for today's episode on unsupervised learning, part of our little mini segment here on machine learning. I hope you've enjoyed this trip into the unknown and maybe even had a few laughs along the way. Who knows? If you've got questions, thoughts, or just want to connect, find me on LinkedIn. I'm Emily Laird, Laird. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and remember, you know more about unsupervised learning than you did when you arrived.